That there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast. Shame on you!
Shame on you. My name is Ella Envy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion.
And I'm Kinsey Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion.
And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again?
Podcast, period.
Or you're ugly. Korean Power approved.
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby.
Are you ready?
Power. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
I'm building an alliance.
God bless the internet.
Okay, let's party. It's showtime.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin Frazier, Jaden, DKM, and J. Cal.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J. Cal. With me, of course, is Mr. DKM and Jaden. Gentlemen, how are you today? DK, how are you?
Well, I don't guess it's the best of days, is it?
No. I don't know when you guys heard the news. I literally just heard it about 30 minutes ago. In fact, our mutual friend, Big Chris Dog, messaged me to tell me what was going on. And that's it kind of takes the wind out of your wings. You know what I mean? Jaden, how are you doing?
It's a little shocked, honestly. I was starting to have a good week with Ahsoka, and then just kind of all went downhill from there.
Yeah. Obviously, we are an NWA podcast, first and foremost. We talk about wrestling in general, but our wheelhouse is the National Wrestling Alliance, the past, present, and future. Bray Wyatt wasn't really a part of that, but I think it would be insulting if we didn't at least acknowledge his passing. Obviously, the son of
Mike Rotendo.
Yeah, NWA royalty, Mike Rotendo, the nephew of Barry Windham. I mean, it's grandson of Blackjack Mulligan, right?
Yeah, nephew of Kendall Windham.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have reached Kendall, but I was going to get to Blackjack Mulligan. It's sad. I know that he was a father, I think, of 4, and the man was only like, I think he was 37 years of age.
36.
36, which is way too young. Way too young. My heart aches for his family. Obviously, his brothers and sisters, his mom and dad, and of course his kids, his lady. It's rough, man. And this is on the heels of losing Terry Funk yesterday, who we're going to spend a lot of time talking about today. But my condolences to his family first and foremost, his friends, his fans. I'll be the first one to admit that I wasn't a huge Wyatt family guy. I mean, for Halloween one year, I did dress up like Bray Wyatt, but that's just because I think we have some similar physical attributes. But there was a lot of potential there. A lot of people expected him to be a future world champion. A lot of people compared him and his gimmick very similar to that of like an Undertaker and something of supernatural. And I don't think it ever materialized quite the way he had hoped for, or the WWE. Jaden, do you have anything you'd like to say more about Bray Wyatt?
I was a fan of the original Wyatt family, and now 2/3 of them are gone. I just realized that when I think about it. So somebody please keep an eye on Eric Rowan. But yeah, I was a fan of the original Wyatt family. It reminded me a mixture of like True Blood and Cape Fear, I think that was the movie.
Yeah, Cape Fear, yep.
Yeah, so I thought it was a really good. I like the character. I like the gimmick. Sorry, listen too much to modern wrestling. I like the gimmick. I like the personality. Very wonderful in his delivery of the original gimmick, I think. There was definitely a lot of charisma and something there. He wasn't the greatest in the ring, but he had personality to get away with it, I think. Until he started doing that Fiend gimmick. I think that kind of lost a lot there. But again, I very much enjoyed it and was happy to see him back when Triple H was in charge. And for a brief moment, I thought we were going to get back, but then I don't know, it's just weirdness happened again. Yeah, it's just a shock, I expected Terry Funk. It didn't make it any easier.
No.
But I did not expect this.
DK, what do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share on Bray Wyatt?
Well, like Jaden, I was more a fan of the early days of the Wyatt family as opposed to the Fiend, which came later. And part of the reason may be that WWE never used use the Fiend in a proper way. Yeah, I mean, it is strange to think that he was supposed to be taking on who was it, Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania
this year.
Yeah,
past WrestleMania, yeah, and then I don't know if it was Brock that said no, or if it was the illness that came up, but
it was the illness. That's what Brock lost by disqualification, which is what was going to get, because then Bobby was going to be doing something else, and so he was. And then, then Bobby Lashley was put in to take the place as some other things changed, and he got ill, and I don't know who, what, when, where. I just know that last week there was a report that said that he was doing rather well, and they were expecting him to recover, here in the next month or so, finally be strong enough to maybe start working out or something. And, then this, and it's just the epitome of people. You don't know what's going to happen. Tell your family you love them, because tomorrow's not promised.
Just one last thought that I have, like I'll never forget being in the we used to call it the Citizen Bank Arena in Ontario, and one of my first WWE events in like 20 years, I went to a taping, and this was like a few years ago. This was right when the Wyatt family became popular. I mean, this was they were filming segments for the Saraya Knight movie, so this was quite a while ago. But when the lights hit and that music blasted over the loudspeakers, every single person in that venue had their cell phones out, just waving them in the air. And it was such a haunting image. I mean, it wasn't like a scary thing or anything, but like everybody was on board with it. I don't know that there was quite a wrestler at that moment that was as hot as he was. And it's just disappointing that it never materialized the way that I think a lot of us would have hoped. And now we don't get an opportunity to see what he could have come up with next. A lot of people attributed to him being a very creative person, and a lot of his ideas we never got to see, and maybe we'll never get to see. I know that there was a movie that he was working on. I don't know if that even got finished or not. Do either of you know?
I don't know. Unfortunately, creative also often translate to tortured.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, if he was tortured, hopefully he's getting a modicum of rest now.
I don't want to speculate on what might have happened. Just as we know right now, a father, a son, a brother, a friend, a wrestler has passed away, and way, way, way too young. So I'll just wrap it up with condolences to Wyndham Rotunda and condolences to his family. And this week, our pal Luthez said the world never lets up. It's the hardest part of being a fan, because we also lost yesterday a great man in Terry Funk. And like Jaden said a few moments ago, Terry Funk was 79 years old. And although death is always a tragedy as far as I'm concerned, it's also undefeated. And at some point, everyone goes. We know that Terry Funk was battling dementia, and it's believed he passed away due to complications from his dementia. He survived, obviously, by his two daughters and his brother, Dory Funk Jr. We just lost Jaden. That news was a little bit of an easier pill to swallow, DKM, knowing that he had some struggles with his health already, but losing a former world's heavyweight champion and such an icon of the sport of wrestling. I know a lot of people were kind of celebrating his life today, but let's talk about Terry Funk.
Yeah, I feel bad because so many people that think of Terry Funk today, that know Terry Funk today, either know him from his ECW run and his tag team with Mick Foley there, WWE.
Chainsaw Charlie. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, Chainsaw Charlie, which WWE had to immediately say, okay, it's Terry Funk. Terry Funk been around since late 60s.
1965 is his in-ring debut.
Wow, so mid 60s. And of course, the younger brother of Dory Funk, and Dory and Terry were themselves. They didn't have gimmicks. They didn't have characters. They were themselves. Dory was the quiet one, the technical wrestler and everything. And Terry was the crazy one. In fact, you can find an old video where Dory Funk Sr. is getting mad at Dory Funk Jr. for losing his cool over something. He goes, I don't need you going off like Terry. I already got one crazy son. I don't need another one or something along those lines. But the point was Terry Funk was always kind of this crazy thing. But Terry Funk wasn't just this crazy wrestler. He was a multi-dimensional wrestler. I mean, if you go look at his time as NWA World Champion, starting from when he won it, you'll notice before he won it, he kind of trimmed up his hair and, went from having the mustache and goatee back to a cleanly shaven face. And the thing about when he won the title was he was a substitute for Dory. He was a substitute for Dory Funk. As Briscoe and Dory Funk had a years and years long rivalry over the NWA title. And so he was a substitute, and he came in and he won the ugliest, most beat up belt in the entire world.
That's for sure.
The second one was made during his reign. But yeah, oh my gosh, that was an ugly belt. But if you watch him during that time, not that he couldn't go crazy in the ring occasionally. He was one of the ones that kind of started that champion getting disqualified, not so much intentionally, but just because, he'd lose it. But you'll go back, listen to his interviews and stuff like that. He was a calmer guy. His work in the ring was far more technical. He held the title for just over a year before giving it to Harley Race. And
he almost held it for 2 years.
Well, he had won it in like December and lost it in like February. So it was just over a year. But yeah, it was like 73 to 75. And and what a lot of people don't realize is that after he and Harley Race had their series of rematches that had already been booked throughout the territories, including a match in Houston, is that Terry was never again a major challenger to the NWA World Championship until his program with Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Because he had so many other things going on outside outside of wrestling.
Well, and the thing about it too, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but because I of course, when someone passes away, I tend to do the deep dive so that we could talk about it. But one of the things that really caught me off guard was just how early and often he was wrestling in Japan. And I know him and Dory were two of the first really celebrated gaijins that went to All Japan Pro Wrestling. But, he was bouncing around between working for them, working for NWA, his TV appearances, his movies. I mean, he was really all over the place.
Yeah, he was. And he and Dory refused to wrestle each other.
Yeah.
But they did once. And that was in a tournament final that took place in All Japan. Bob was one person to get them to get in the ring against each other. And it was one time.
Was it a final or semifinal?
I heard final. honestly, I don't know anything about that tournament, so I couldn't tell you. But I know that I just know that in the States they refuse to wrestle each other. Boy, I wish we could get some of that going today. I would like a lot more brothers to refuse to wrestle each other.
Well, CM Punk won't wrestle anyone from the Elite.
Yeah, I'm ready for the Usos to stop wrestling each other. I'm ready for, and the brothers haven't actually wrestled yet. And I'm ready for, I guess they had wrestled as the youngest one, but there are just some others, and it's just like, okay, I'm tired of it. I don't need brothers to be feuding. So,
I actually really enjoy watching brothers beat the crap out of each other.
well, just because you live in your fantasy there, but
if you have a brother you don't particularly care for.
I love my brother. I just love to punch him in the face way more.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that we don't love our family, but it still doesn't keep us from wanting to slap the spit out of them sometimes.
The interesting thing that I found about Terry Funk while I was doing my research today is his career basically spanned just over 50 years. He started in 1965, wrestled his last public match in 2017. He had wrestled for pretty much all the major companies over the years, specifically Jim Crockett Promotions. He was all over the NWA territories. He wrestled for All Japan. He wrestled for USWA. He wrestled for ECW. He wrestled for Dennis Corluzzo. He really was all over the place. And his death matches in Japan are obviously the way he reinvented himself. But over that 50 years, he wrestled over 2,500 matches. And when he was the world's heavyweight champion in the NWA, he held that title for 424 days, defended it nearly 200 times. He beat Jack Briscoe in Miami Beach on December 10th, 1975. Funk would take the title throughout the U.S., including stops in major NWA territories like St. Louis at the Kiel Auditorium, the Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, the Sportatorium in Dallas, even the Grand Olympic in Los Angeles. He would have title defenses at the Chase, which I find kind of pretty cool that I'll be going to the Chase this weekend. And really all points in between. His contributions to the NWA were legendary, and he would be inducted into the NWA Hall of Fame in 2009. Although he'd eventually be given matches for the World's Heavyweight Championship, he never would regain that title. And but he was still a draw. And that's kind of the way, being able to reinvent yourself. He was a technical wrestler when he was world's heavyweight champion. And like you said, he had a little bit of an attitude, but he was still a technical wrestler. I even heard today, and I don't know if this is 100% true, but I heard that Bret Hart was not trained by Stu, but rather he was trained by Terry Funk. Jaden, do you know if that's true or not?
I believe it was the Funks, plural, but yes, I believe that is true.
And the thing about it too is, I just recorded, like literally 2 days ago, I was recording a podcast about the 10 pounds of gold and how it wasn't really a known commodity here in Southern California. Although the Grand Olympic Auditorium was the home of the NWA here in California for about 14 years. The title really didn't see a whole lot of face time in Los Angeles. Now we know Harley Race had a few appearances for the Olympic Auditorium, but really one of the guys who was there quite a bit was Terry, and he had matches with Chavo Guerrero Sr. In fact, he took Chavo Guerrero Sr. to a 60-minute time limit draw. And at the time, Chavo was the big star out here in Los Angeles. So it was, and during that time too, in that same time and space, Terry was wrestling for the America's Championship when he wasn't world's heavyweight champion, which was the main title out here in Los Angeles. And, he did the favor. He put over Chavo Guerrero when he wasn't world champion. Which I guess was just the way they used to do business back then.
Hey, I got an example of that. So this is what it is to actually plan things out, plan out stories. The first thing to remember is that when the decision's made to change champions, it's normally months before the title actually changes hands. Almost up to a year sometimes. And this was actually one of the quicker ones. But Terry, just before winning the world title, had been in Crockett's promotion, Mid-Atlantic, where he won a tournament for the United States title. And he held the title like 2 weeks, maybe a month, very short. And he lost it to Paul Jones. And that was all because they knew Terry was going to win the world title. So now, hey, look, what matchup was going to bring you some money? You got Paul Jones, who was a big fan favorite at the time. And he just beat Terry Funk for the U.S. title. Why can't he beat him for the world belt?
Yeah, and that was long-term booking. That was setting up a challenger so you could set up your money-making feud. Right before the Tokyo Monster Cahagas won the national championship for the first time, he did wrestle Damian Wayne for the dog championship, and Damian Wayne beat him there. And I guess later Cahagas got a modicum of revenge, and unfortunately in Clayton, New Jersey. But that really did set up Damian Wayne as a top challenger for the national championship at the time, and there was some attempted maneuvering to try to get that happen. Didn't happen until unfortunately much later, but there was something going on. At least it probably wasn't very successful. Obviously it wasn't very successful, but there was attempted maneuvering to get the national title on D-Dub before, possibly the world title on D-Dub, but that's a different story also.
Now, DK, we know that obviously the former world's heavyweight champion spent quite a bit of time in your home state. I know he was more in the Southwest, but between his territory, or the Funk territory, you also had the Bosch territory in Houston, and then you had the Blanchard territory. What did Terry Funk mean for the NWA? What did the Funk family mean for the NWA? Especially in Texas.
Well, oddly, by the time they won their world titles, they were primarily Florida people. But yeah, Dory Sr. ran, I think called it Southwest. I don't remember exactly. Wrestling that ran out of Amarillo and actually Northwest, Jay, Southwest. But that's okay. So, of course, they were big stars there. And, they would talk about the ranch. And a lot of people don't know that ranch is real. That, the Double Cross Ranch was a real place. It was a real working ranch.
Yeah, there was a sick horse there once.
And Terry told Vince, "Sorry, got to go take care of the horse." And so, in fact, Terry, before he went to the home, he had gone back to Double Cross Ranch, and that's where he was living. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny because by the time I was around, Amarillo had already basically died. By the end, it was being run by Dick Murdoch and Blackjack Mulligan. When Story Sr. had passed, the brothers kept it up for a while and basically just left it in the hands of friends they trusted. But it's hard to imagine that was once actually the top wrestling promotion area in Texas. It's even funny in that thinking just after Terry Funk won the title, he had an interview with Gordon Soley in the back, and Gordon Soley was telling him that there was a rematch clause and that the rematch was going to take place, like next Thursday or something like that, just real quick. And Terry was like, "Yeah, Amarillo." It's like, no, not in Amarillo. It's going to be in Jacksonville or some Florida city. He's like, "It's not going to be in Amarillo." Like, no. And you're like, well, I didn't care. One of the interesting things about Terry is that his voice was he didn't have the most intimidating voice, you egg-sucking dog,
Because I'm a man.
Yeah, but he could certainly intimidate you. His insanity being half the reason, but just the way he was. The Funks were legit. They were shooters. They could beat you. They could tie you in knots. They could stretch you, as the old saying goes.
So I was looking on WrestlingTitles.com. That's our friend, the Great Hisa site, and I was kind of going through. He has a breakdown of all the title matches. You can go to the NWA. You can pull up the World's Heavyweight Championship, and then he has it broken down, like all the matches. Some of the matches are listed that didn't happen, were canceled or whatever, but it's such a great resource. I highly recommend checking it out, wrestling-titles.com. And I always get the website wrong because I have it bookmarked. I'm going to just double check it right now so I'm right.
While you are looking, do you want to hear a Terry Funk story?
Please,
My Terry Funk story?
It is wrestling-titles.com. Go ahead, please.
At the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance at Pennsylvania Hall at the Philadelphia Civic Center, the smaller hall in the Civic Center, Tri-State Wrestling Alliance had an event, and the match was Terry Funk versus Kevin Sullivan. And they went and ironically fought at the concession stand. And there was a little young Jaden in there deciding to see how close he can get to the excitement because it was right there. Terry Funk was one of his favorites, and he also liked Kevin Sullivan a lot. And they were beating the crap out of each other. And Terry Funk chopped Kevin Sullivan and did it so much force that he hit young Jaden's shoulder and actually separated it.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
And young Jaden, the idiot that he was ecstatic as he could barely hold his arm. His arm felt like it was just kind of hanging there. Thought it was the coolest thing in the world that he had his shoulder broken or shoulder separated by Terry Funk. And he told him such a story many years later at the Radisson Hotel in Cherry Hill at a convention there that was an ECW versus NWA convention or ECW versus WWA convention or something like that. Yeah. It was early ECW and WWA with Dennis Carluzzo. Yeah, but that was an interesting experience having my shoulder separated by Terry Funk.
Because I heard he's such a sweetheart outside of the ring. Did he apologize? Did he try to make it right with you?
No, I told him it was a great thing, and he's like, "Do you want me to separate the other one?"
That sounds like him.
And then Kerry Von Erich was there too, and he's like, "Does that mean I get to punch him in the head now? Would he like that or something like that?" And it just became like a little joke between the guys.
And so you were about to get attacked by the entire Southwest. Interesting. When it comes to Terry Funk, like he was so multi-generational, and to me, he's kind of like what the embodiment of pro wrestling is, because there was an evolution with Terry Funk. It wasn't just, you rest on your laurels as the world's heavyweight champion and ride off into the sunset. And Terry Funk would go on to hold like championship titles for many wrestling promotions, whether it be tag titles with his brother, He would hold the Florida Heavyweight Championship, the Southern Heavyweight Championship, the Los Angeles World Tag Team titles with his brother, the aforementioned America's Championship out here in LA. He never stopped competing at that high level. And, I think there's something pretty unique about that. And even when he got to ECW, he wasn't a young man at that point, and he had been doing death matches in Japan with IWA-Japan. He was also working with FMW. They were doing exploding ring matches. Him and Cactus Jack were kind of competing in those matches in between working for an early ECW, the Eastern Championship Wrestling, later would become Extreme Championship Wrestling. And he will bring over a lot of those hardcore kind of values. And listening to Busted Open today, the first thing Tommy Dreamer said that if there was no Terry Funk, there would be no Tommy Dreamer. And I just imagine that a lot of the credibility that he lent to ECW might have been for nothing. If he wasn't there, ECW might not have even existed, or at least it wouldn't have existed the way it was. Do you agree, Jaden?
He definitely added a lot of credibility to ECW.
Hey, real quick, your mic sounds really weird.
Can you hear me now? Is it better?
It's like a tin can.
Hold on. Any better?
No.
All right. I'm going to catch out and go back in then.
Sounds good. I'll ask you the same question, DK. Do you think the ECW would have thrived the way it did without a Terry Funk?
Yes and no, differently. Terry Funk gave it a credibility that you just don't have. And, by the end, you had a lot, Dusty Rhodes made an appearance, other legends made an appearance. But I think some of that is because of Terry Funk and Terry Funk winning the ECW World Championship, which may have been his last solo World Championship. I'm not 100% sure, since he wrestled everywhere on the bloody planet.
Actually, it wasn't, because after that, he would end up becoming a three-time hardcore WCW World Champion. He would also hold the Juggalo Championship Wrestling Championship, and even held the 3PW heavyweight title. But I want to throw that question back to Jaden, because I know, being in South Jersey, so close to Philadelphia, that's kind of the breeding ground of where Extreme Championship Wrestling kind of blossomed. And I want to get Jaden's opinion. Does ECW exist, or does it at least thrive the way it did without a Terry Funk?
I don't think so, because, again, Shane Douglas wouldn't have met as much because he was feuding with Shane Douglas. Sabu wouldn't have met as much because he was feuding with Sabu. That Eastern Championship that he feuded over with those two really put ECW on the map. And while it wasn't the first triangle match, it was a very, very big deal for ECW to get that triangle match, and it made a big difference in their perception as a major company instead of just another small indie. And the whole area loved Terry Funk. Dennis Carluzzo events, I've seen him against Chris Benoit. I've seen him against Bob Backlund. That was a weird match. Really good, though. Yeah, look it up. I think it is on YouTube. I saw him against Jerry the King Lawler. I saw him against Hot Stuff and Gilbert numerous times. And they just loved the Funker. He was middle-aged and crazy, and everybody in Philadelphia, New Jersey, that whole area was just enamored with Terry Funk at the time. And he was as big a draw, I think, in the area for Philly and South Jersey area than I think he was anywhere in the world.
And, he was they talk about him starting Extreme, and I don't know where to go with that. But, even before the death matches in Japan and all the crazy stipulations, he was just an extreme dude in wrestling. He was the one that Was he the one that started in ECW? Them fans throwing chairs in the ring.
Yeah,
was he?
Yeah.
it was him and Cactus Jack against, I believe it was Public Enemy, right?
I believe you're correct. Yeah.
I just know it took off after that. But yeah, even in the early days of wrestling, I told the story, with his dad. We already got one crazy son. In his early matches, he was known to bend the rules a lot. And Terry Gordy once said this, but whenever I hear the phrase, I always think of Terry Funk. Terry Gordy once said, he goes, "I may not be the best wrestler in the world," he goes, "but I can swing a chair better than any of them." And that's kind of the way Terry Funk throughout a lot of his career was portrayed. He may not be the best wrestler, although he was a very good wrestler. Go watch his matches when he was champion. Google it. And or Google some of his Japan stuff. I mean, he was a very good wrestler, but man, he could swing a chair better than any of them.
Our pal Hisa reminds us that the Funks, all inclusive, including Senior, booked for All Japan. So without them, there would have been no All Japan Pro Wrestling. That I did not know. My experience with Terry Funk, obviously, I was too young to see his run as world's heavyweight champion. By the time I was old enough to start watching wrestling, the Grand Olympic Auditorium was kind of done. So we would only get the occasional AWA show out here, but more predominantly we would have, the WWF at the time. So I never really got to experience Terry Funk the way that a lot of other people did. I did see him in the WWE. I remember him with the branding iron and Jimmy Jack Funk and all of that stuff. It was very crazy and chaotic. I didn't really understand as a kid, but the first time I really understood who Terry Funk was after that match with I don't remember who Ric Flair was wrestling. I think it was Ricky Steamboat, and Terry Funk was one of the judges, and he was in the tuxedo, and he definitely looked out of place in a tuxedo.
Yeah, it was when Flair regained the title from Steamboat.
Yeah, and then when he would get into the ring to congratulate Rick, and I remember, I didn't really know who Terry Funk was, but I think on the show they had probably mentioned that he was a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, and he was like, "Well, Rick, how about my shot, Rick? I want a shot at that belt." And Rick was like, "You're too old. You're washed up. You're not a wrestler anymore. You're an actor." And then Terry Funk proceeded to beat the ever living shit out of Ric Flair after a long match with Ricky Steamboat, and it was one of in the Kaylee household, in the J. Cal household. I remember being a very young, not that young, but a young boy, and my mom absolutely hated Ric Flair. The only person she hated more than Ric Flair,
Terry Funk.
Terry Funk. So, and that was such an amazing scene that, because at that point, I don't think I ever saw a wrestler go through a table. I don't think I ever saw anyone get brutalized the way that Ric Flair did, and there wasn't a horseman there to back him up. I think Sting eventually came out and made the save, but it was
that was a long beatdown.
Yeah, it was almost uncomfortable, right? Like, I remember watching it and thinking, like, man, does nobody not give a damn about this guy? And I was a kid, and I'm like, usually if someone attacks the other person, you'll see one of the other good guys run out or something happens, and Funk just beat the tar out of Flair.
Yeah, this was kind of the extreme that we talked about. He was doing things that you just couldn't imagine. And wow.
Another story I heard today, and this is secondhand hearing, so I don't know if it's true or not. I think I read it on Twitter, but now I don't remember where I heard it from. And Terry Funk went out there during one of the ECW pay-per-views, and he said he was going to go out there and do a moonsault And the Sandman pulled him aside and said, "Terry, you don't have to do that, man. You don't have to do that." And Terry was kind of hurt and said, "Well, you don't think I can?" And then he went out and did it because that was the kind of person Terry Funk was. And it's amazing to me to think about again. If there was no Terry Funk, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think the ECW exists the way that it does, which means that Tommy Dreamer, Sandman, Taz, Sabu, the Dudleys, none of these guys become relevant. And how different would the world of wrestling look if those guys weren't a thing?
Some people think it'd be much better, but
I mean, maybe, but could you attribute Terry Funk for making Eastern Championship Wrestling relevant so that when Shane Douglas won the title and threw it down, that's all Terry Funk's fault?
well, he actually quit the promotion that night, so maybe he thought so.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, and it was supposed to be Terry Funk and Mick Foley versus Public Enemy for the tag titles, and he was upset about what he found out. They told him apparently ahead of time as respect for him, and he left and did not want anything to do with, and that's where Mikey Whipwreck was born. Well, he was born a little bit before by beating Pitbull Gary Wolf, but him and Cactus Jack as the odd couple tag team, the unlikely tag team champions, was born in that angle because Terry Funk quit.
I never had heard that before. I guess. So obviously I wasn't following ECW back then either, but I had always kind of assumed that he just rolled with the punches because he was still a part of ECW later. But wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he actually he was gone for a little while. I think he even started working for Carluzzo at the time. I'm not sure now, but because he started in this area by Dennis Carluzzo, and I mean, obviously, he probably wrestled here for Jim Crockett Promotions or anybody else who was running the area at the time. But like modern wrestling wise, Carluzzo was the guy who was booking Terry Funk everywhere, and was very enjoyable as a fan of the area. But he still had respect to the NWA name and the NWA title and to Dennis. He's one of the few people that didn't screw Dennis over during the ECW versus NWA feud.
Well, I just pulled up Terry Funk's matches that you could get at Cage Match. Now, these obviously aren't 100% accurate, but it's a good resource to kind of give you an idea. And he was competing in ECW and FMW and in Puerto Rico with Carlos Colon's promotion, and also working with some of the other NWA promoters at the time, like NWA Grand Slam. He was working in '92. He was working with Carluzzo with WWA, and he spent like '93 pretty much wrestling everywhere. Some of the NWA promotions, like NWA in Pennsylvania, working ECW, again working in Germany, working Smoky Mountain, and then by '94 he was again a regular in ECW, a regular in USWA, really working just everywhere. And like you had mentioned him wrestling Chris Benoit, that was an NWA New Jersey event, and there's, man, you just keep looking at his matches, and he was everywhere. And when he wasn't wrestling in FMW or ECW, he was getting matches in WCW as part of the Stud Stable, teaming with Bunkhouse Buck. And he was, it's wild to me because I'm like, okay, so he came into WCW like in May, and by June he was wrestling matches in ECW. By July he was back in Smoky Mountain, and then still wrestling matches for ECW and still wrestling matches for WCW. So like, I guess he wasn't really an exclusive wrestler for any of those promotions, apparently.
I think he was the WCW thing came as part of a deal with ECW because there was some kind of lawsuit going on. I think that was part of how that happened. But I remember was it him versus Tully Blanchard at a WCW event. He went to try to pile drive off the top rope and Tully Blanchard chickened out. But yeah, he was everywhere, and people really, they credit ECW to the resurgence of the Funker, but in reality, his resurgence really came in to be in the USWA. He reignited his feud with Lawler in the USWA over the unified title, and that really was a hot feud going at that time. It kind of sparked the territory a little bit too.
And going back to '94, I mean, the Armstrongs and the Funk Brothers had several matches in the USWA. It's interesting because, we how do I say this politically? If a tree does, let me say this the right way. As a fan of wrestling, I don't typically go and look to see what happened in USWA in 1994 without a reason. But then when you go and look and you see like, oh, well, the Funker was having Texas death matches in Smoky Mountain Wrestling back in '94, and there's a lot of cool stuff that was happening there. And the best of Memphis 10-man survival. Jerry Lawler defeats Austin Idol, Brian Christopher, Doug Gilbert, Eddie Gilbert, Jimmy Valiant, Coco Beware, Moondog Spot, Terry Funk, and Tommy Rich. I don't know, it's just wild.
Did you know he held the WCW US Championship?
I saw that, but I don't I don't see when and where.
It's one of those things. He won it clean. He lost it clean the next night, and WCW TV ignored it.
Oh.
But yeah, he in September of 2000, he beat Lance Storm for the title in Amarillo, and then lost it the next night in Lubbock, which of course were the two big cities of his family's old territory. So
nice way to pop the crowd, I guess.
Yeah. Terry breathing, I think, popped the crowd. And he did start one tradition I'm not necessarily thrilled about.
The retirement match.
The retirement match. He had more retirement matches than any other person on the face of the planet. And I'm pretty sure that no one's broken that record yet.
Even Ric Flair.
What?
Even Ric Flair.
Even Ric Flair. Flair's probably getting close, but
remember
Terry started retiring in the 70s, just so you know.
Remember that documentary, the Beyond the Mat, that that was kind of following Terry Funk's retirement, right? And Dennis Stamp was there, and I'm not booked, Terry. And he's on the trampoline with the weights. Do you guys remember that or no?
I have a vague memory.
I remember thinking that was just the most hilarious thing that I ever saw, that this grown man had some, cardio type dumbbells bouncing on a trampoline, getting his exercise in. I mean, looking back now, like as an older man myself, I'm like, hey, that's actually a pretty smart way to do it. Low impact on the knees. But as a young man, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, try what happens when you drop the weights.
No shit.
Yeah, don't drop them and drop right in front of you. I promise you that much.
So, do you guys have any more Terry Funk stories you want to share?
Well, look, if you want us to share Terry Funk stories, we'll be here till next week.
Well, we do have to talk about the 75th anniversary pay-per-view, but...
okay, let me just share some Terry Funk stories.
Yeah, I think so.
Actually,
I'll be completely honest. Your boy Jay has to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to make his flight to St. Louis, Missouri. I have been checking emails. The last time I was supposed to go to an NWA show, my flight got canceled while we were doing a podcast. So far, we look good. I'm checked in for my flight, but I am going to have an early morning, so I'm hoping that we don't last all night tonight. But I would love to hear a few more Terry Funk stories before we cover the pay-per-view.
You got any DK before I go?
I'll let you do the first one.
All right. If you want to go back to see two things you don't believe. Go back and look at the Saturday night's main event match with Terry Funk with Jimmy Hart in his corner going after the WWF Championship against a blue trunk clad Hulk Hogan with the Junkyard Dog in his corner. It is both premium Terry Funk and probably some of the best Hulk Hogan not in Japan you've ever seen.
Okay. I'm writing that
Very, very entertaining match. I think it was actually won by the Lariat too.
The Axe Bomber.
Yeah, I think that's what he called the Lariat, his version of the he slightly bent the elbow and called it that. It was a clothesline. But it was such a entertaining, very enjoyable match for Saturday night's main event. And soon after that, poor Terry Funk's horse got very sick. In case you're wondering, though, he's not at all related to either Jimmy Jack or Flash Funk.
The Flash one I was always curious about, but I knew Jimmy Jack was not. Who was Jimmy Jack Funk? Was that Art Barr?
Jesse Barr.
Jesse Barr, his brother.
Yes. A very talented, ironically, partially trained by Dory Funk Jr. and was Dory Funk's protege in Florida.
So was that in Windsor?
Yeah. He of course had a good run in Florida before they put that mask on him and renamed him Jimmy Jack. And if anybody wants to know when the world started losing its mind in wrestling, Jimmy Jack Funk is a good way to start.
He milked that, though. I mean, he had a great run in Texas with that, great run in Portland with that, great run in Tennessee with that. He milked the hell out of that gimmick.
And considering he was part of, wrestling royalty in the Pacific Northwest, that tells you something.
But yeah, he had way more success out of the WWE with that gimmick than he did with it.
Real quick, I do want to point this out, that Hulk Hogan and Terry Funk, I mean, it wasn't like a full-blown feud, but they had a series of matches in 85 and 86. Actually, their first time they faced each other was in 1982 for Wrestling in Sun City in South Africa, which Sun City's not a very nice place. And then on house shows, Hogan versus Funk happened quite a bit in 85. And then the aforementioned Saturday night's main event. I don't see a one-on-one match between Hogan and Funk at Saturday night's main event, but I see a Saturday night's main event where Hogan and Junkyard Dog teamed up against Haas Funk and Terry Funk. Who was Haas Funk?
That was Dory. They didn't like the name Dory, so they gave the name Haas from Bonanza, and that was the rematch. That was the built up from, I believe, that first match with Saturday night's main event between Hogan and Terry Funk. Again, if you can find it, it's probably on YouTube, maybe if not on the network. It was very, very enjoyable match. It was one of Hogan's best matches before he started getting formulaic and hitting the very stereotypical Hogan stuff. It was a very good match. And I just realized Hogan really did dominate a lot of NWA champions, didn't he? He wrestled against a lot of NWA stars. And that time when he was against Funk, that was when Hogan was rotating through a lot of different talent. He was also defending against Don Morocco and against Greg the Hammer Valentine. And there was a lot of wrestlers out there at the time that he was defending against. But Terry Funk was a prolific challenger. And Hulk Hogan has gone on the record to say he was a big Terry Funk fan.
Flair, too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think anybody that worked with him was a fan. Because
Hogan was a fan growing up. Terry Funk fan.
How could you not be?
True.
We were talking about,
hated him.
We were talking about gimmicks earlier. And Terry Funk, or characters even. And Terry Funk once had one of the best lines ever. He was talking about which is going to be my story here. He was talking about the empty arena match he had with Jerry Lawler, which I believe was the first of its kind. And it was it was a concept that he had actually come up with. And he noted, he goes, nobody told me what to say. Nobody told me what to do. I was my own creator. And yes, I looked that quote up because I remember him saying something along those lines. And it's just amazing to think that wasn't unusual necessarily in that day. That was the standard. At most, you were given some bullet points. Hey, hit this. Or if you talked about things a little bit, you might throw some ideas around or whatever. Michael Hayes gave Kevin Von Erich the line of, this isn't a feud between Georgia and Texas. So, it's between decency and filth, which really popped the crowd. And so Kevin delivered it perfectly, which he wasn't a great orator, so that's kind of amazing. But he delivered it perfectly. And but Michael Hayes is the one that came up with it. But yeah, Terry Funk, he wasn't a gimmick. He wasn't a character. We talked about this at the beginning. He was Terry Funk. And when he went out there and he said things, and when he went out there and he did things, that was Terry Funk. Not the promoter, not a writer somewhere back behind that never watched wrestling as a kid. Not a booker. You said, hey, Terry, this is kind of what we want, and you walked away. Or this is what the end's going to be, and you walked away. Terry Funk did everything else. And that empty arena match, that was with Jerry Lawler. That was a culmination of a feud that was so violent, so bad. They had to have this no DQ match, and they couldn't risk having fans because we didn't know what was going to happen.
Didn't Lance Russell call that match?
I believe so.
Most likely, if he did, the only person probably would have been Lance Russell.
Yeah, and it's just one of those, what do you, this is when they talk about Terry Funk being extreme before it was cool, or extreme before it was popular, or extreme before, what I will say, before it was stupid. I was watching NXT the other night, watch one of the bozos hit two back-to-back spike DDTs, and the guy kicked out of it. And, I don't think either one of them weighed 160 pounds if you really put them on a scale. And it was just like, nah, man, that's not extreme. That's not athletic. There's so much more. That's dancing. I mean, dancing can be athletic. I can barely do it. But
you should see me cut a rug.
I wish we could go back to times when we had the video where DK was dancing in the background. Post-production, can you put that in real quick? Make sure that ends up on.
We need to start marking these things. We need to start marking these things so we can pull them up later.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
put it on TikTok. Put it on the shorts or reels.
So I'll ask you.
Play the Benny Hill music in the background.
Dun, 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 dun.
What was Terry Funk's finishing maneuvers, DK? It too.
Well, I know he used a pile driver.
Yeah.
You said something about a lariat.
He didn't use the lariat, and I was Hogan used the lariat.
Oh,
in the match.
Yeah.
It was a submission hold.
Everybody used a figure four. Did he use a figure four too?
No, it was a submission hold that he wore with a pinfall with for some reason.
I don't remember. Was it
Did he use a spinning toe hold?
Spinning toe hold, yeah.
Because that was like a Funk family move.
That was
right?
a Funk thing, yes.
Yeah, and he won the spinning toe hold often by pinning somebody with it.
Who was that?
Never understood that, but I've seen it more than once.
Well,
in the match with Briscoe where he won the title, that was part of the thing. He would try to go for a spinning toe hold, and Briscoe would try to go for his figure four. And Terry actually won it when Briscoe went for the figure four and had a slight delay, according to Gordon Soley, and Funk rolled him up and pinned him. And he lost the title to Harley Race on the third and final fall in a submission. Harley had done an Indian Deathlock, by the way, real submission, and Terry, this back before tapping existed, and so, but yeah, the referee finally said Terry had submitted, and boy, those are. I don't care what anyone says. Those were the days, man. They came out not injured. They might be sore, but they came out uninjured. And, everybody left the arena, the gymnasium, the whatever they were in, and they believed. I don't know what normally happens, but let me tell you, I believe that what I just saw. And Terry Funk was the epitome of the old Johnny Valentine line. I can't make you believe wrestling's real, but I can make you believe I am. And and that's what I've been trying to say all night, I guess. Terry Funk was real.
It's still real to me, damn it. Sorry.
Sadly, I regret that I didn't have enough time to get a shirt made in memorial of Terry Funk that says Tyrus sucks eggs, because they're going to be wrestling a bull rope match on Sunday, and bull rope matches typically the wrestlers kind of come as you are, and how often did we see Dusty Rhodes come out to the ring in street clothes and Terry Funk come out to the ring in street clothes when they were doing like a hardcore match or something like a bull rope match or a come as you are match, whatever it is.
Texas Death Match.
What's that?
Texas Death Match.
Yeah, Texas Death Match. So
they typically did Texas. Their gimmick extreme match was either a bull rope or Texas Death, and different than the way they do them today.
Ironically enough, Tyrus kind of claims that Dusty Rhodes was his mentor. Dusty Rhodes was kind of the guy that put him in the position that he was with the WWE and all that. And I think it'd be fitting if someone had a shirt, hey, EC3, are you listening? That said, Tyrus sucks eggs. I don't know. I think it'd be funny.
Sucking dog.
Yeah.
He actually eats the eggs like dozens at a time.
Well, he sucks them while he's eating them. Hey-oh. I used to go a girl like that. Anyway,
man, I ain't touching that one.
You shouldn't. All right, so changing.
If you do, wash your hands.
They don't have girls like that in Southern California.
What?
I missed something somewhere, and I think I'll just keep it that way.
Yeah, let's just leave it. So
Katy Perry wrote a whole song about girls from California.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, it's called California Girls.
She took the slow train from Philly. Anyways, some Saturday night, 2 nights away, the NWA celebrates its 75th anniversary. This great historic brand that we've spent the last 15, 16 years talking about will accumulate all that 16 years plus, some, 40, 50 years before that too, or 60 years before that as well, whatever. It's going to be a big night of wrestling is what I'm trying to say, to celebrate the legacy that is the National Wrestling Alliance. On night one, there's lots of matches. The show starts at 6:30. I don't know if that's what time the pay-per-view starts, but that's what time the doors open. On my ticket, it says 6:30, and I don't know how they're going to fit all of this wrestling into night one. And some of these matches may be night two matches, but it's pretty wild. So I'm going to state the match. If I have a graphic for it, I'll put the graphic on the screen. And then I would like to hear your guys' opinion on who you think will win. And we'll go through like that. Does that sound good, gentlemen?
Sure.
I guess.
Hey, and I hate to disappoint you, Jay, but May Valentine's not going to be there.
No, I'm good with that. I saw that posted as well. She did say she's not saying goodbye to the NWA. She just said that she won't be here at this show. And, that's not, it's not very surprising. We know that Velvet Sky has missed the last couple of NWA events, but she states that she is not finished with the company either. So who knows, maybe we'll see Velvet Sky in that capacity, or maybe they'll just bring somebody else in entirely to play that role for the NWA for the TV tapings and the pay-per-view. But let's start with the YouTube pre-show.
They should get Gary Michael Capetta.
Some people were calling for Gary Horn to do it.
I could see that.
I wouldn't hate that. Like, look, a lot of people think that there's heat between Gary and I, or there's heat between, this is pro wrestling and the Alliance guys. There is none. I'm literally going to sit in the car with Gary for 4 hours driving from St. Louis to Nashville on Sunday night.
Until he leaves you on the side of the road with a broken ankle.
Oh, shit. I didn't think about that. It's eliminating the competition.
I mean, look, I've paid good money for that, so it better happen.
You smuttered. Anyways. So pre-show, we've got Zion, not to be confused with Scion, taking on Jordan Clearwater. Obviously, this match is stemming from the Crockett Cup when Zion attacked both Clearwater and Scion, and Austin Idol spit on both Clearwater and the artist formerly known as Scion. This one...
Hope somebody got their tennis shots.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about this match. This is probably a match that I would say for night number 2, just because I don't think the relevancy makes a lot of sense for night number 1, especially with the amount of matches that they're going to have. But Jaden, we'll go to you first. Who do you see coming up on top, Zion or Clearwater?
I hope Clearwater, because at least he has potential to be something.
And how about you, DK?
Well, it should be Clearwater. That's why it'll be Zion.
So you're saying Zion?
Yeah, only because I think they need to take the mask off him, because with Scion gone and it's public now, there's no need for Zion. But yeah, but with Austin Idol, I think it looks like they might be pushing him a bit. So
I think this one's going to end in like some sort of smudge, but I'm going to say Clearwater wins. And the reason why I'm going to say Clearwater wins is because if they don't do something with him soon, all of his value will be gone. So we'll go with that. Then the number 1 contenders match. Now this has implications for night number 2. This is the number 1 contenders match for the U.S. tag team titles. We have Talos and Daisy Kill versus the Fixers. Who do you want to see, DKM, and why?
None of them?
You have to pick one.
Oh, okay. Probably Talos and Daisy Kill, because we've already seen the Fixers. So, and I'm just going to say this real quick. I am posting the link in our chat on the YouTube part. Sorry, Twitch. That is Terry Funk versus Hulk Hogan that Jaden was talking about.
Yeah, very enjoyable match. I enjoyed that so much.
I'll put it on the screen. I don't think that helps anybody, but you can look for it later. You can pause, right, and write it down later.
And look, I went to YouTube and searched Hulk Hogan versus Terry Funk, and it was like the first thing that popped up. Look for the blue trunks.
All right. So then, DK, you were saying then that you think who's going to win this match?
Probably Talos and Daisy Kill, as they seem to be trying to develop them for something.
Jaden, do you have a preference? Do you have a pick?
Yeah, I want the Fixers to win. At least they're a real tag team.
I see, and with DK, I'm kind of with DKM, because I see like I don't want to say that it's over for the Fixers, but I think they need to freshen them up. They need to do something different. I don't feel like they've figured out what they want to do with the Fixers just yet. And I don't necessarily think Talos and Daisy Kill are going to win the tag titles, but I think they are going to win this match. So I'm with DK on this one.
What tag belts is it contenders for?
The U.S. tag titles. So the country gentlemen.
All right. Well, hopefully they win the U.S. belts and then turn them in to get a shot at the world belts. That seems to be a thing NWA does.
Well, they have their reasons. Then the next thing we have is the 21-man battle royal with the winner facing the national champion on night number 2. Now this one, there are no listed opponents. There's no listed talents in this one. So I guess we'll have to just skip over this one, right? Because
I want to think outside the box, and I think Pollo's going to win.
Pollo's going to win the battle royal. Okay. What if it's one of Pollo's mans? Like, what if Pollo brings in somebody new to the NWA?
I still think Pollo should hook up with Trevor Murdoch and be Trevor Murdoch's baby doll.
All right. DK, your thoughts?
Perfect 11
on an unnamed battle royal, and what does the winner get?
A shot at the national champion on night number 2.
Think of something funny, DK. Pick a funny person. Unless you have a real serious answer.
Gags the Gimp.
I said funny, not pathetic.
Is going to lose.
Oh.
Or no, Gags the Gimp is going to win when he somehow accidentally eliminates Judas. That's my thing. And then he'll go on to win the national title, beating whoever wins the national title.
I'm going to say Brady Pierce wins. And I'm legitimately saying Brady Pierce is going to win.
You know, he's probably as valid as any other choice other than, like, you know, Gags and Rolando.
Well, Rolando was my second choice. All right, so that's the pre-show, and like I said, that's 4 matches, technically 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 matches, and that's a lot of pre-show. You know, and the thing about it is, the way I see it, it's like if it's a pre-show, maybe you only want to give away 1 match or 2 matches. And if I'm the NWA, to avoid some of the problems that they had after the Crockett Cup, I think I would have filmed a few matches and not put on TV, not put on pay-per-view, and use those for night 1 of the first Power after the pay-per-view. At least some filler matches. That way you could stretch out the content. You don't have to have Billy Corgan doing recaps of the matches we already saw. So I don't have an exact order of matches, but this is kind of what I'm looking at. So we'll just go from there. Now, number 1, Jaden or DKM, have either one of you seen the Joe Alonzo promos on Homicide?
No.
Okay, I'm going to
probably get them banned though. Well, actually, nobody gets banned on if it's on X. Nobody gets banned on X.
Our buddy Scott B, and Scott, I think this is your first time joining us, so welcome to the show. He says that he'd like to see Dak Draper win. I think Dak Draper has another match that night, but yes, I mean, he would be another good choice. Luthez says the national title just needs to go away.
Yes.
Mike says that the Fixers are done, and
maybe Billy will break them up.
Maybe. Look, you know what? Honestly, if we're gonna break up a tag team, Jay Bradley would be a good person to have in that national title division. And then, so as we go back to Homicide and Joe Alonzo, I know that we're already doing the podcast, but later I encourage both of you guys to seek out Joe Alonzo on Twitter and watch some of those promos. This kid is signing his own death warrant. I mean, can I play him here? You guys talk for a minute about Homicide and how awesome he is. Let me see if I can pull up one of those promos.
Talk for a minute about Homicide and how awesome he is, Jaden.
Did you know that Homicide's awesome?
I have heard that Homicide is awesome.
Actually, though, inside the ring, Homicide's a very, very talented individual. He could fight, he could wrestle. People are actually surprised he could do lucha. Probably his knees aren't good at it anymore, but at least at one time he could do lucha. And yeah, he was actually, I seen him in a match. I think it was against Amazing Red. That was like completely out there. Like you would never expect an Homicide to do it. But he had a really, really, I swear it was, maybe it wasn't Amazing Red. It was one of the Maximo brothers, but
Okay,
you'd be very surprised.
So I'm not able to get both the video and audio up. We've had that problem in the past, so I'm gonna just try to get the audio. I hope you guys can hear it. I'm gonna put it up loud. But
the audio is playing, DK is going to do a dramatic reenactment of the what's going on.
Okay, so here we go. Let me just boost up the volume a little bit more.
When you did that, DK, you remind me of Sam the Eagle from the Muppets. Sorry. Is it playing? I don't hear anything.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you guys aren't hearing it, that's a shame. Sorry to waste everyone's time, but go check out the Joe Alonzo promos. They're on Twitter. They're classic, but they're also basically signing his own death warrant. Any picks on this one? I know if you guys haven't really seen the promos, your picks might be a little affected, but
R.I.P. Joe Alonzo. I guess that's the wrong thing to say right now. Yeah. I think Homicide's gonna torture him.
DK?
Yeah, Homicide will just homicide him.
I believe we'll be having to notify the next of kin. Just don't see Alonzo making it out alive. In the what are they calling this? The matchup between Jax Dane and Tim Storm, a matter of respect, no DQ match. Obviously, this is a glimpse into the past of NWA's yesteryear. Jax Dane, a former NWA World's Heavyweight Champion, lost that title to Tim Storm. A lot of respect between these two, but also lately a lot of disrespect. Any picks on this one? Who do you think's going over on this one, DKM?
This is odd. I mean, it should be Jax because Jax is still the active wrestler and Tim's not. So I'm going to go with that. Yeah, Jax.
I'm going to pick the guy who was the former NWA and North American champion who wrestled in Texas.
Okay.
But seriously, it's like Tim Kong versus the Vanilla Godzilla going on right now.
Good.
It should 100% should be Jax Dane, so I picked Tim Storm.
So let me get this straight. You're both saying Tim Storm?
Yeah, even though it shouldn't be.
No, I said Jax.
Okay. Sorry, I wrote it down.
It should be Jax.
It should be back Jax, and I'm going with that because he's the actual guy that's going to continue to wrestle, as far as I know.
If you guys watched Jax Dane on the NWA podcast, Jax would say the fans will win this one, but I'm pulling for my guy Jax Dane. Both of those guys I consider friends of the Alliance, but I got to root for my guy Jax Dane. He's been a very close friend of the Alliance. So and you might even see him wearing an Alliance blog T-shirt at some point. Where
the hell did you get that much material to make one of those for him?
You have to order from the Big and Tall store. Luthez says a double DQ could work, and Mike agrees. Jack's supposed to go over. Storm is going to do and be after that match. Jack is active, but come on,
I thought it was a no disqualification match.
Yeah, you know what? Shit.
I mean, not that I have anything against a double DQ, but it's going to be very difficult if it's a no disqualification match.
I guess you're right. That match certainly has to have a winner. That's the whole point of it. So, sorry, Lou.
Time limit draw. It's going to go an hour.
Maybe. Next up, I don't have a graphic for. I haven't even heard that this is official, but my sources say that the Brothers of Funstruction are supposed to be taking on Magnum Muscle. Of course, the Brothers of Funstruction will be led to the ring by Violent J of the ICP. So, yeah, of course they're coming to the NWA to lose, right? I'm going to say it first. Brothers of Funstruction are going to win this one. Mr. DKM, your thoughts?
I think they're going to win it, and I'll give you my reason why later.
Okay, and then Mr. Jaden?
I think the Juggalos are going to go over and then go out and go chicken hunt.
I'm a chicken hawk looking for some chickens. I wasn't sure where to put this next match, so I'm going to put it here. M95 defending their women's tag team championships against Pretty Empowered, Kylie Page, and Ella Envy. Jaden, where do you see this one going?
I hope the Pretty Empowered wins, so then you have to get a new promo so we can have somebody else make goofy faces in the background.
This cost me another $20. DK, what do you think?
For never mind, I won't go there.
Yeah,
right.
It would be interesting if Pretty Empowered won, because that would give Ella Envy a title reign with each of the members.
A 3-time champion.
She would be a 3-time champion, and she would have held the title with Kenzie, Roxy, and the
Kylie.
Yeah, Kylie. Yeah. So that would be interesting. The only thing is, there's only like 2 women's tag teams in the NWA. So then the question becomes, no matter who wins, what's next?
I like to see Pretty Empowered versus Pretty Empowered.
We need a 4th member.
They do have 4 members.
They do? Who's the 4th?
Kylie, Kenzie, Roxy, and Ella.
Oh, you did? Nah. Second thought, nah.
Then you get sister versus sister, since you love their sibling feud so much, DK.
Yeah, no. I mean, they have wrestled each other for like the TV title.
So who do you have going over then, DK? M95 or Pretty Empowered?
Pretty Empowered, because I think they'll go for that trifecta.
I can't vote against Ella Envy. I'm a big fan of hers. Big fan of hers.
We know you're
She's well worth that $20.
Jesus. Luthez says another title that should have never happened. Well, look, and here's my hopes, right? Because we are getting an influx of women talent into the NWA. Perhaps maybe a new tag team can emerge out of the Burke Invitational, which is where I'm going to next. The announced names so far are Ruthie J, Christy Jane, Heather Monroe, the Woad, Taylor Rising, Sierra, MJ Jenkins, and the returning Allison K.
MJ Jenkins. That's my pick.
Oh, I've seen that video so many times.
Me too. That was my pick.
That was great. Thank you for that. DK just went out of photo, like he disappeared in the background. Who do you have?
Okay, who do I think will win? Probably Sienna. Who do I want to win? CJ, Christy James.
I'm going to go off the unbeaten road here, and I'm going to say it's to be determined. I think there are more women that will be announced the night of, and it's going to be Mrs. Outside Hire.
I like my answer.
Your answer was the funniest. Luthez says, even with more talent, there's not enough time to do so many titles properly. The problem is that there is time. It's just wasted with stupid shit. And that's just, I can't censor myself when it comes to this. There's so much stupid shit that happens on these shows that it's like, with no disrespect to Eric Jackson, you have given me zero reason to care, and he's had like 3 promos this season of Power. I still don't care. I still don't care about Eric Jackson. 1 week he's teaming with Robert Anthony against Psycho Boy Fodder, and then the next week he's teaming with Psycho Boy Fodder. It's like, if you're just gonna waste him like that, then stop giving me his matches. Give me something that's more important, something that I'll care about. Scott B says Allison K. Luthez says CJ, and Mike says the real winner is all the booty in the ring.
I'm with that one.
Is Sky Blue going to be there?
No, unfortunately, she's not.
She got all that booty.
Yes.
And a bag of chips.
And then Mike says, you mean Wishley Richards, which is still the best.
Yes.
Anyways, okay. Next up, we have the Cardona Open Challenge. There is no opponent yet that's been announced. Do you guys have a guess who might show up to take on Matt Cardona?
Latimer.
The only problem with Latimer, and again, you guys didn't see this, but Latimer actually he'll be defending the TV title against Adonis.
Ooh, I like that match.
Yeah, that's a pretty solid match. They built that up on Power this week. Go ahead, DK.
No, I'm really clueless as to who it might be. I think unlike last time where I knew, some other idiots thought he was going to wrestle a real wrestler, that it was going to probably be more of a joke match. And that started that whole Rolando bullshit. I think this one will probably be a more serious challenger, but probably still like a mid-card level guy.
I got a wish.
Yeah.
Dustin Rhodes.
Oh, I mean, I think he's still with AEW, but
isn't he a free agent if not soon?
Maybe.
Yeah, his contract was supposed to be running up, but I don't know when it did. Or when
Scott B says Zicky Dice. Dusty Rhodes would be pretty good. I don't know this.
Dustin.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Dustin. Excuse me. You said Dustin. Scott B says Zicky Dice. I think he I don't know what his status is. I know he's recently appeared in Ring of Honor, but I don't know if that means he's signed or not. And DK, you don't have a guess?
I mean, I don't, because they're just I don't know if it's going to be something serious or something stupid.
Yeah, I don't think they know yet either.
Well, I mean, I don't think it's going to be a big outsider. I'll be honest.
I don't think it's going to be an outsider either, but go ahead.
So
there's only one outsider left, and Kevin Nash doesn't wrestle anymore.
But I'm figuring it'll be probably somebody on the NWA mid card. Somebody's going to try and make it. I mean, let's be honest. Most of the top guys are already taken.
Apparently, this match is nothing to sneeze at.
No, apparently. My guess, and I'm stealing this from the other Alliance guys. I think it was Dave Scooby that suggested it, but Murdoch's very own Mike Knox, I think, will be the answer to this equation, because they have history from last time. Plus, Knox isn't wrestling night 1; he's wrestling night 2. And if he just goes over quickly on Cardona, it does nothing to hurt Cardona, because I think he's on his way out anyway. But it does kind of help propel Knox a little bit, who could use the rub, especially if they're going to win the tag titles. So,
I got another outside chance.
who's that?
The Pope.
Okay, I'm gonna put him down on the chance that he shows up. That would be amazing. I would love to see the Pope return, but I feel like that bridge has been torched.
Yeah, that's why it's way outside.
All right, that takes us to the junior heavyweight title. Oh, real quick, Luthez says Hammerstone's a free agent now.
I don't know that he's a free agent. He's just not the champion.
Scott B said Zicky announced a few weeks back that he hadn't re-signed with Impact. And who can blame him? Yeah, I mean, look, I think a steady paycheck is a good deal, no matter who you are. And then Willie Bowen says Billy Corgan should sign Hammerstone and the Sons of Von Erich. I agree with both of those.
Man, what is this obsession people have with Sicky Dice?
He resonates with some people.
Great T.
I'm going to do Jaden. Some people like, dog fights and chicken fights to keep from using the other word.
Sure.
And stuff. I mean, to me, that would just be like the worst thing ever.
Okay.
I can think of so many worse things for you, DK.
Let's move into the positive category in the World Junior Heavyweight title.
The Iron Sheik?
You've got Kerry Morton and Colby Carino. Any guesses on who wins?
The fans. Second generation wrestler.
Yeah, possibly. I'm going to go with Kerry.
DK says Kerry. Jaden, who do you say?
I don't know that I'm convinced that Carino's sticking around for long.
I also do think it's too early to take the title off of Kerry, so I'm going with Kerry. Kerry Von Morton.
We are all in agreement on this one. And I have no beef with Colby Carino, but I think at this point, taking the belt off of Kerry, I think is premature. He's finally got into this really groove where I find him interesting, and his wrestling has gotten better. His fitness has gotten better. He looks good in the ring. He sounds good in the ring.
And being part of that Southern Six thing, if they don't, I mean, they've already been weird enough with it. But you take the title off of them, then it's almost like, well, what difference does it make?
Mike says Colby and Stanley screw over Colby. I think he means because Jamie Stanley is Colby's manager. I think he's saying that Stanley will screw over Colby. Luthez says Kerry. Willie Bowen's talking about the Beach Boys and the song California Girls. But yeah, I just don't see them taking the title off. And like you said, Southern Six could play a role. Jamie Stanley could play a role. And Kerry doesn't do the job in St. Louis. I heard him say it himself. So
nobody should play roles right now because all the actors are on strike. Go Union.
And there are some interesting rumors going around, so we'll have to see if any of them come true.
Okay. Mike says Colby wins, but Stanley turns on him afterwards and gets a title shot. So that's a possibility too. But we know that there will be, as we said, that's one that we missed. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of time traveling here. That was one of the pre-show matches we missed. The Jubilee Jamboree. The winner faces Colby or Kerry on night 2. You have Eric Jackson, Alex Taylor, Triple A's Jack Cartwheel, Kaoa Laksamana, and Matt Vine. Who do you pick to win the Jubilee Jamboree?
Is 911 still available?
Send out Dark City.
Is 3-minute warning still a thing?
No, unfortunately, on 2 counts.
Yeah, no, that's a shame. Boy, not only do I not know, I have absolutely no level of caring on that one. What Luthez do says Koa, so I am going to go with that.
All right, Jaden, you have a guess?
Who are the people again?
Eric Jackson, Alex Taylor of the Southern Six, Triple A's Jack Cartwheel, Koa Laksamana, and Matt Vine.
Well, Cartwheel's got a name, so I want to go with the Southern Six dude.
All right. I'm going with Cartwheel just because I think you don't bring a AAA guy in to have him do the job. Scott B says Alex Taylor should take the Jubilee. That's not a bad guess. I mean, I like Alex Taylor a lot. I just don't see him if Taylor wins and Carey wins, then you have two of the six facing off against each other. Mike also seconds the love for Alex Taylor. All right. Then it was just announced today, James Mitchell let the cat slip out of the bag. The women's television title match is going to be Kenzie Page versus the non-binary nightmare in Max the Impaler. Jaden, who do you got, Max or Kenzie?
I want Kenzie to win, so then they all 3 out of 4 of the pretty empowered have belts.
DK?
This is a rematch of the tournament final, oddly enough. I'm going to go with Max because I don't know that they're going to let Kenzie get to 7.
All right. And then you know what? DK, you and I are in agreement on this one. I also believe that they're not going to let Kenzie get to 7. So I'm going to say Max as well. And I think that would be good for Max too, because Max has yet to do much of anything as a member of the roster. She hasn't really had that signature victory yet. She had a great match with Camille, but she hasn't gotten to that point where she's ready to go. Our boy Mike says that he's going to go with Kenzie. And Luthez says that not that it means anything, but the NWA sent Fox 2 promo material for Octagon Jr. and Mysterious, or however you spell it. Those are the AAA tag team champions. So that's interesting. And they've actually had a rivalry with La Rebellion. So, that might play out somehow, some way. Next up, on night number 1, we have the men's TV title match. Tom Latimer, Chris Adonis. Strictly Business explodes. Jaden, who do you see in this one?
I really hope Adonis wins. Adonis needs something right now.
So a lot of people are speculating that if Tom wins, that he would challenge at the end of the main event Sunday night, whoever the holder of the 10 pounds of gold is.
So EC3 wins and we have another talking match?
Oh, shit. I hope not. God, why did you have to say that?
Because that's why I wanted Adonis to win.
All right. Fair
One
enough.
of the many reasons.
And media says Adonis wins. It doesn't work like that. If Adonis wins, Latimer has nothing to cash in. If Latimer loses the title, then he doesn't have the cash in it. You have to be in possession of the title to cash it in. DK, your thoughts on this one?
Latimer keeps the title. And yeah, I go with to give away my thoughts. Latimer keeps the title. Tyrus wins the bull rope match, and Latimer cashes in like a Money in the Bank thing that I hate more than anything else in the entire world, except for our 3-way. And Latimer's your new world heavyweight champion there.
Well, I hope you're right, but we'll get to that match in like 10 minutes. Okay, so I agree with you. I think Latimer wins. A national championship triple threat match. Kratos, Odinson, Thrillbilly. I'm going to go first because I have something to say about this. I think this is the absolute stupidest idea to book a match for this way. You took all the heat off of Thrillbilly by having him lose to EC3 and then have EC3 chuck the title.
Twice.
Yeah, have EC3 chuck the title away and say, hey, I'm going after the world title, baby. So now Thrillbilly, if he wins this title, he didn't beat the man to be the man. and he's going to beat. He would have to face a tag team from the Crockett Cup. I would imagine that you'll see some double team work from Kratos and Odinson, but it won't last. Ultimately, my hopes it's Kratos that wins this match and becomes the national champion. And later, if you want to have Thrillbilly take the title off of Kratos at some point later in time, that would make sense to me. I just think by giving him the title now, it's almost like I feel like it's very here
anticlimactic.
Yes, thank you. So that's my thought. I'm going to go with Kratos. DK.
Crappy booking. Oh,
yeah.
Actually, I'm kind of in agreement with you. I think they'll put the title on Kratos to try and take advantage of the fact of Kratos' time with New Japan and all that. And they seem to be wanting to put the titles on, some of the bigger people right now. Also, going against the Thrillbillies, Playa's going to be out with him, and so that could likely be their final breakup, so that the Southern Six actually starts to make sense again.
Yeah.
Or there'll be one big swerve, and it'll look like Poyo and Thrillbilly are breaking up, and then she'll hit Kratos over the head or something, and and Thrillbilly wins. Who knows? I still say they should have just given the title to Thrillbilly since he picked it up after the other one dropped it, and I think he just should have gone around and said, "You want this belt? Come and beat me for it."
That would have been at least more interesting. Jaden?
Well, he could have argued with Billy about it too. Just kind of, no, you got to come beat me for it.
You could have gone so many different ways with that. But Jaden, who do you think walks away from the triple threat as your new national champion?
Since nobody picked him, I'm going to go Odinson.
So we're all in agreement that it's not going to be Thrillbilly, which means it's going to be Thrillbilly.
Yep.
Either way, they're a paper champion.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I don't want to waste Silas Mason on a paper or anything. I think Silas Mason is one of the realest dudes they have on the roster. I think he's one of the guys that you could honestly build this company's future with. And I think having him win a national title in this way is meaningless. And in fact, I think it hurts him more than it helps him. So
I got another wrestler now for Matt Cardoni's made me think of.
Who?
The real one himself.
Alonzo.
No.
Who?
Oh crap! What's his name now? Enzo.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Enzo Amore. That's what I was trying to say, anyways.
Alonzo and Enzo are not the same person.
Okay, I have an official guess now.
Okay. Who is it?
It's going to be Rolando again, but this time Cadorna wins.
All right. All right, Rolando.
Oh, you got to put Thez's comment up there.
Just think of the most convoluted scenario possible and then add psychedelic mushrooms. Yeah. Matthew Underwood says that they've been talking about Enzo in the Discord. I think Jaden has said this before. You can make money with Enzo, right, Jaden? Like that's a guy that you could.
I'd make money with Enzo. I know everybody hates him, but I can make that money off that hate.
And that's what you want. Like
the hate makes him great, just like Chick-fil-A.
So Enzo's got heat, right, with a lot of people, and some of it's like he was there was allegations against him that proved to be false. So he should be redeemed as far as I'm concerned. But I feel like he still gets the raw deal. I would have no problem with Enzo Amore coming to the NWA, and I have no problem with Enzo Amore, winning a TV title or a junior heavyweight title. I would not put the world's title on Enzo, but I think you could make money with Enzo for sure.
It might even draw more YouTube fans than the guy with no chin.
My problem with Enzo and my dislike for him has nothing to do with the former allegations. My problems with Enzo is I understand he's got some Austin Aries traits of being a little bit on the toxic side, Tessa Blanchard trait, everything like that. And so I tend to question whether you actually want him long term anywhere.
A lot of the people I know in the area who work with him, and they have nothing but nice things to say about him. I just think he doesn't deal with people's stupid BS, and that's what people call toxic.
Matt Underwood says that he's immediately the second best or best promo on the roster. Luthes says, I just don't like Enzo because he reads his raps off of a cheat sheet. I mean, that's fair, you know. You guys want to talk more about Enzo, or can we go to Loud Rebellion versus BFT?
He doesn't use auto-tune, though.
That's fair enough, Jaden. So let's talk World Tag Team title match, La Rebellion versus Blunt Force Trauma. We know that with La Rebellion that they'll have Vampiro in their corner. DK, earlier you said you had a theory about this match, so let's hear your theory.
All right. My theory is Blunt Force Trauma wins because on night 2, we're going to get the Brothers of Construction against La Rebellion. Because if anybody paid any attention to the insane clown dude, whose name I do not know and don't want anyone to tell me.
You're so old.
Is it Violent J or Shaggy 2 Dupe? I've kind of lost track.
Shaggy died.
Oh, poor Scooby.
No, I don't
It's
know.
Violent J. It's what they used to call me in high school, by the way.
Yeah, right. Anyway.
I was actually Violet, as in the color. You just misheard them.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, so because if anyone listened to his promos coming into the thing, he was talking to Vampiro and how he would be in the brothers' corner to, help counteract Vampiro. So I don't know if they gave it away. But that's my guess.
All right, Jaden, same question for you. La Rebellion or Blunt Force Trauma?
Are we still on night 1?
Yes.
Holy crap.
And there's still one more match.
This is like a USA Pro show from 1997 with 17 matches. Is Murdoch supposed to take on the winner in night 2?
Yes.
Yes.
Then I go for Blunt Force Trauma just because I want to see a bunch of guys beat the crap out of each other. I think it'll be more fun.
All right, and we're all in agreement then. As much as I love La Rebellion, I think they spoiled it for us with that promo. I mean, you don't bring in ICP and have him target Vampiro and have Vampiro reply to him if they weren't going to do a fun Brothers of Construction versus La Rebellion on night number 2. So, all right, and that brings us to the main event for night number 1. Again, you guys haven't been on Twitter today, so you missed out, or maybe yesterday too. You've missed out on Natalia Markova's very convincing promo about why she's going to be the next Women's World Champion.
Oh, no, I saw it.
Of course you did, DK.
DK watched it on repeat.
No, I only watched it once, and I did not see it when it came out, but I saw Camille posting about it, so I had to go figure out what the hell she was talking about. And
Are we having a Markova on a pole match?
Kind of.
apparently.
Wasn't a match, but she was on a pole.
Talk about a match that's going to have a lot of booty, and that's just with the one person.
What did her shirt say that you bought?
What? I did not. What are you talking about? No, the badass with a hot ass.
I look. I try not to. I want to look at wrestlers as wrestlers. I try not to. I don't want to objectify them too much. I'm very tongue in cheek about Ella Envy, but I look at her as a wrestler first. Markova kind of makes it hard for you to do that when she's doing the videos where she's literally doing a strip tease and dancing on a pole. With that being said, I just don't think it's her time. I don't think it's time for Camille to step down, and I don't think that's the kind of promo that you're going to put out if you're going to be the next women's world champion. So for me, I'm going to vote for Camille. DK, did you give me a name for this one?
No, really, I thought with everything going up, they might be setting up for Markova. But after that pole dance thing, I'm going to go with Camille because Camille tends to have the best match on shows. So,
That's a good call, Jeremy. That's a subscriber trap.
Yeah, probably. And so it'll depend on who comes away, with the women's thing earlier. But that could set up a great match with night two. I think most of us would rather see Camille versus whoever wins the thing.
And then Jaden, did your vote?
I'm gonna pick the Russian on the pole.
All right. You're not calling her Stifler's mom anymore.
Well, she had a really good match with Camille last time, so I stopped calling her Stifler's mom after that. Because honestly, that's the first time I think I've ever really seen her wrestle.
Yeah.
So that's the pay-per-view that you made me watch that DK no-showed and we didn't have to review.
Yeah.
Not my fault. Okay, it was, but that's not the point.
Just like you had to watch, you made me watch a Power, and then you guys don't talk about it.
Well, that was Jay's fault. Jay skipped buying a pay-per-view one time because
I wasn't going to be here, and it wasn't a very good pay-per-view.
Doesn't mean you couldn't buy it and watch it and suffer like the rest of us.
Look.
Bitch.
Shit. All right. Night number 2. We're just going to go with the matches that they've announced. We're not going to try to guess what matches are going to happen. I mean, we'll take our guesses for the title matches and stuff, but we're not going to guess anything else. For the U.S. tag title match, Jaden said that he thought it was going to be the Fixers versus the Country Gentlemen. Jaden, who do you see winning the U.S. tag titles on night number 2?
I say the Fixers lose and break up.
Okay, so you're saying the Country Gentlemen retain the titles.
No, I say the Fixers lose.
Okay. Jaden says Fixers lose. I'm writing it down. All right, DK. Who do you think comes out of here as U.S. champion? Is it going to be Talos and Daisy Kills or the Country Gents?
I'm going to go with the Country Gents simply because they actually use the belts on their home promotion.
I'm also going to say the Country Gents just for that exact reason as well. Plus, I think they're setting up a storyline later with the Southern Six that I think you would want the tag titles to be on the Country Gentlemen for that. Next up, this one's kind of convoluted, so we'll try our best here. It's going to be the winner of night 1 in the National Championship 3-way match versus the winner of the 21-man Battle Royal. Now, for Jaden said that Odinson would win the title and that he would face Pollo Del Mar.
I think Pollo wins and is the next national champion.
All right. So Jaden
and Thrillbilly helps.
Oh, okay.
But by accident.
Okay. DK, you said that Gags the Gimp wins the tournament, the Battle Royal, and that Kratos wins the match. So you going with Kratos?
Yeah.
And then I also said Kratos, and I said Brady Pierce. And I'm going to say Brady Pierce is your new national champion. And I say that because I think as the Iron Claw comes out in December, having two cast members feud over the national title, Brady Pierce and Thrillbilly, I think that's going to be interesting.
I think you're smoking crack.
Well, hey, maybe.
Who's Brady Pierce playing?
Michael
P.S. Hayes.
So Taze versus Gordy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's Buddy Roberts?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I know that Maxwell Jacob Friedman is in it. I don't know what role he plays, though.
Isn't he Gino Hernandez?
That would make a lot of sense. Matthew Underwood wants to remind us that Brady Pierce is currently the Wildcat champion. Okay, then we have the winner of the Junior Heavyweight Championship on night one versus the Jamboree Jubilee winner. So in order to do that, Jaden said it was going to be, or let's go with DK first. DK said it was going to be Ko'oa Laksamana versus Kerry Morton. You got Kerry Morton retaining?
Yes.
And then Jaden said it would be...
Actually, Ryan Nemeth is going to play Gino Hernandez.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
That's a good cast.
MJF is going to be Lance Von Erich.
Lance with a chance, baby. Jaden, you said that Alex Taylor would win the Battle Royal and that Kerry Morton would win the title. Are you going with Morton or are you going with Taylor?
Real quick, I think MJF will make a fabulous Lance.
Say that again.
But I picked the guy from the Southern Six to win. No, I pick Kerry Morton.
Okay. And then I'm also gonna just say Kerry Morton. And I was saying he would face Jack Cartwheel.
The backslide, right? Jack backslide.
Yeah. And then, okay, so then the tag team titles, you've got Murnox against, we all agreed that it would be Blunt Force Trauma. So who you got walking away, BFT or Murnox?
I picked the big guys.
Murnox. I think it's going to be a hot shot title reign because it's Aaron Stevens. And so he'll get his revenge on La Rebellion and then, of course, probably hit one of the masked guys doomed to by accident and cost them the titles. Or Murnox will just wipe the floor with them because it's Murnox.
Jaden?
I picked Murnox. I coined the phrase. I coined the name. I'm going to coin them as the next tag team champions. Or as next tag team champions.
I'm going to go with BFT just because I don't think Murnox needs to be tag champions in order for them to be contenders for the tag titles down the road. BFT has been at it a little bit longer than Murnox. BFT needs it more than Murnox. Murnox has the Crockett Cup. BFT doesn't. So I'm going to say BFT, and maybe at hard times we'll see that rematch. Okay. Women's World Championship match, Burke Invitation winner versus Camille. Jaden said that MJ Jenkins would win. So you got Camille or MJ Jenkins?
MJ Jenkins is going to be the next women's champion.
All right.
Didn't I say Markova?
Oh shit, you did. My bad.
Either way, MJ Jenkins.
It doesn't matter. He's still going with Jenkins. Okay. DK, you had You had where'd it go? You had CJ. CJ or Camille?
Yeah, I'm going to pick CJ.
Whoa, and I'm going with outside higher, and I'm still sticking with that. I know I'm probably wrong here. Luther says, but BFT sucks in comparison. I like BFT. Let me explain why I think it's going to be an outside hire, why I think it's going to be someone else. I think that Tessa Blanchard is going to be a surprise entrant. I think Tessa Blanchard is going to be there. Maybe I'm just hoping because I want something like crazy to happen, but that's my choice. And I think that if it is Tessa, she shows up, she wins the title. All right. And then that brings us to the main event, Bull Rope World Heavyweight Championship match. If Tyrus loses, he's going to retire from in-ring competition. So you got Tyrus versus EC3 at the 10 pounds of gold on the line. Jaden, tell me who you got, daddy.
I picked EC3, and then we're going to get a talking feud between him and Latimer.
DK.
Who already picked?
You picked Latimer, right?
I picked Tyrus to be EC3, so it'd be a surprise, and then Latimer will cash in and beat Tyrus because that'll give Tyrus a double out. He just got beat up, and now he's had a surprise cash in. Because I just read somewhere where Billy thinks that Tyrus has been a great world champion and done a lot for him.
All right, here's where I'm gonna screw the pooch here. I think that EC3 wins, and I think Latimer fails to cash in. He does. He comes out, he challenges, but EC3 is your world champion walking out of 75. So that's it.
Yeah, the saddest thing is Tyrus will be the champion walking out of 75. That's the sad thing.
It very much could be, and especially with the words recently that came out of, I guess this is an old video where Tyrus is talking about pronouns and how he would beat his kids if they said they had pronouns. I don't know if this is clickbait. I don't know if this is a video from a few years ago that's resurfaced. I mean, he had the 10 pounds of gold in the video, so it couldn't have been that old.
No, he said it on. He said it at least once on Gutfield, if not more, and I think he said it in other interviews, places where he's been, and talked about the issue.
I think that I know Billy wants to be controversial. I know Billy wants to not book for the fans, but at the same time, I feel like how much more can you tolerate for somebody saying things like this that not only alienate your fan base, but alienate some of the roster members? And I get it. I know there's people in this chat right now that don't recognize, the pronouns that Max chooses or the lifestyle that Pollo chooses. And look, man, that's your prerogative. I'm not here to change your mind on that, but I'm saying as a company that is looking to grow into a TV wrestling promotion, I'm not saying that you can't have right values and still be on TV. I'm saying that you can't say incendiary things and still expect people to want to put you on TV. Tyrus works on Gutfeld because that's exactly the kind of rhetoric they want on Gutfeld. I don't think you're going to be able to get a deal with Fox or CW or a major broadcasting network using those kind of that kind of rhetoric. So for me, I think if you leave Tyrus as world champion, what you're telling me is you're not really concerned about getting on a major network. You're not really concerned about getting a TV deal. You're very content with just the status quo of what you've had, and that's my opinion.
Well, I'm still waiting for the big, huge announcement that they keep saying that Billy's making or has made. And, they'll have clickbait articles on it, and then you go read, and there's no announcement. whatsoever. But I mean, I'm not kidding. I just recently, like this week, some point, saw an article where Billy was singing the praises of Tyrus and just how great he's been for them. And so I don't think Billy cares one way or the other what Tyrus's controversial things are. This has always been the Billy show. And he made the comment about how TNA had to put the title on
Kurt Angle.
Yeah, Kurt Angle, because they wanted whoever the TV people were, whichever channel.
Destination America. They wanted Kurt Angle because they felt like a white person represented. That's what Billy implied, anyways, that a white Olympic gold medalist was more of an American, represented America.
They wanted an all-American champion.
Yeah.
Was the way they put it. Which, strangely enough, All-Americans sports team is a term used in college sports.
Yep.
But, they want an all-American person to be the champion. And so, Billy was suggesting that he didn't come out and say it, but that there might have been some racial overtones to it. But I don't know. Billy stated before he didn't want to give up control, and he knows that whenever they go to TV that he'll lose some. He doesn't want to bring investors in. He doesn't. It's Billy's play toy, and until Billy's done with it being a play toy, he thinks he's there and just about to, launch into something big. And I don't know if he just says that to say it, or if he actually believes it. But Billy doesn't care. I don't see the NWA going anywhere major anytime soon. And if it does, it'll probably be Billy finally selling it to a bigger group.
It's possible. And again, things could change. But personally, and I know this might rub some of the people in the chat the wrong way, but I can't continue to watch Tyrus as world champion. And that has more to do with his in-ring, lack of in-ring ability. We were talking in the Discord server earlier today, the man has held the title for 8 months, has defended it 4 times. Giant Baba had 3 reigns as world's heavyweight champion that amounted to about 20 days. And of those 20 days as world's heavyweight champion, he defended that title 5 times. 5 times. 20 days.
5 times.
We can't get and I understand that times are different too. I understand that, you can't expect a world's heavyweight champion to be defending the title every week. Okay. I mean, I saw Adam Pearce do it. I saw Colt Cabana do it. I saw the Sheik try to do it. I saw Jack Stain do it. I saw, Tim Storm do it. Maybe it wasn't every week, but it was frequently. I saw Rob Conway do it. I saw Nick Aldis do it. I saw all these people. Trevor Murdoch didn't have a whole lot of title defenses either. Matt Cardona had 1 title defense before he got injured. So I get that, but we're talking about 8 months, and he had 4 title defenses, and one of them was against Rolando. That's not a world champion.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrus is Tyrus, and it's almost we like our Tyrus jokes here, but this situation where I don't really blame Tyrus that much. I mean, he could say, Billy, get real and put the title on somebody that, can do more with it. But, as a wrestler. But, yeah, I mean, look, I said it back when Bully Ray was putting Tyrus over in the ring, and everything, and everybody's saying how, it doesn't matter what everybody says, Tyrus, this. I go, if you have to keep telling me how great Tyrus is as a champion, then it's not true. Because if it were true, you wouldn't have to tell me. And that seems to be the one thing Billy hasn't learned, is that if Tyrus were everything that he was saying Tyrus was, he wouldn't have to tell me.
Real quick, can I show you what my wife got me for my trip?
I don't
One
know.
way tickets.
Oh, fruit juice. Well,
that'll last me till the Saturday. Those will be gone tonight.
I was going to say, if that had been a gift to me, there wouldn't be any left right now. So
wait. I don't know if you guys know this, but one of my favorite candies is literally those Tootsie Fruit Chews. I also like the regular Tootsies, but yeah, these are like almost like crack to me. Hey, we're gonna wrap it up now. We're gonna call it a night. I want to say thank you to everyone who was in the chat. I appreciate your guys' comments. I appreciate the discourse. I've never asked anybody to be 100% compliant and agree with me, and that's okay if we see things a little bit differently. But we do appreciate the discourse. We do appreciate speaking and having a dialogue. Because look, what my definition of what a great wrestler is definitely not the same as DKM's or Jaden's, and yet we still get along pretty well ourselves. Jaden, I know that there's some changes happening with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. Do you have any news that you could share with us, or are we gonna keep that under our hat for a little while?
Keep that under our hat for a little while, but it's unfortunately things might not be going the way we want right now. But hopefully things will change soon. But we'll find out when I know more.
That sounds good. Hopefully. DKM, if folks want to follow you on oh wait, Jaden, plug the Dog Pro Wrestling website, dogprowrestling.com, and the YouTube channel. What's that one?
YouTube, just look up Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators or Dog Pro Wrestling on YouTube. That's how I find it. Actually, I think I have it linked. But check it out anyway. There's a lot of great wrestling and Daredevil Dave Dahl matches on there. So you should definitely check it out because... And if you do check out Daredevil Dave Dahl, make sure to leave a comment about how much you dislike him.
Yes. And whatever you do, don't cheer for him when he enters into the arena at a Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiator event because people will look at you funny. DK, how can
pull a knife on you?
Yeah, it's New Jersey. You never know. DK, how can people follow you on social media?
Well, anybody who would be foolish enough to follow me on social media could do it at DKMFWTX.
And, of course, you can follow me at the Alliance blog. This weekend is a very big weekend. Not only is it the 75th anniversary show, but we are going to be doing the second Alliance Wrestling Summit. Of course, the first one was with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators back in March. So this will be our second event. If you're coming, make sure you reach me, flag me down. We have some T-shirts to give away. It's going to be a fun weekend. We already have our meet up set up for a barbecue place. So it really will be a meet up. And I'm very much looking forward to having some, shut your mouth. That was clever. And you know it, DK. It's going to be a meet and eat or a meet and meet.
Meaty men slapping meat. Yes. Okay.
Picture that when you're eating your barbecue.
Well, I was asked to bring ham sandwiches, but I don't know. Ribs sound a lot better to me. So follow us at the Alliance blog. Take a look to see some exclusive photos, videos of not just the Alliance Wrestling Summit, but also photos of the 75th anniversary show, as well as the TV tapings. I'll be posting and sharing that information with you guys on the website. And of course, we have these live streams that we do Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but there is a podcast that's available on Spotify or iTunes or Amazon. Just go to your device and say, hey, Alexa, play the Alliance blog podcast. And if it plays, just listen. It'll be fun.
If it plays, okay.
It works on mine. All right. Well, that's going to do it then. I'm about to go to sleep so that I can get on a plane early in the morning. Gentlemen, you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the pay-per-view, and I will see you guys literally this weekend at the matches.
Wait, we're supposed
Thanks
to
for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.